This episode of the MOC Squad was filmed in front of a live, members-only audience.
And we're live. Welcome, Rob.
Well. It's been a little while.
It's been a while. You've been busy with the projects keep coming and the schedule keeps getting busier. And I hate, sometimes I feel bad about reaching out to you because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be catching Rob at a bad time.
Oh no, no. You can always reach out to me.
Just to remind you,
I'm always here for you.
Yeah. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to the MOC Squad, Burnettwork, PGS Members-Only Chat. And this is your chance to join us here as a channel member and partake of some time with members of the community and, of course, with Robert Meyer Burnett himself.
Ask me anything.
Ask you anything. So
AMA.
That's right. Live and on YouTube. So how this works, just for those who are watching us perhaps for the first time, if you're a member, channel member here on YouTube, you get a message notification in YouTube with the link to join us on a Zoom chat. And then we stream the Zoom chat here and people can raise their hand, they get on the queue, and we can have a conversation with Rob. About 7 minutes in heaven with Rob.
7 minutes in heaven. You can ask me, I'll answer any and all questions. If you want a dissent, you want to tell me I don't know anything about politics, you want to tell me my takes about James Bond are wrong, please.
Yes.
All are welcome.
Yes, lots of talk.
It's like come into the light. There is peace and serenity in the light. Welcome, children. Come on. Come on in. All of you.
Anyway, I think we're ready. People have been patiently waiting to join us here. So
yeah,
let's go.
We're late starters.
Before I get started with that, I just want to. We do have messages here. I had a notification from. We have. Let me start. Yeah, we have a new channel member. Let me just go ahead and welcome them. Chanel Hancock. Chanel Hancock became a new YouTube member, so wanted to say welcome to Chanel, and maybe in the near future.
That the name Chanel. I went to high school with a girl named Chanel.
Oh yeah,
it was easily one of the most beautiful girls in our high school. You can never go wrong with the name Chanel.
With a beautiful name,
or a perfume.
And now that you're a YouTube member, Chanel, you might be able to join us here in the live chat one of these days. So we hope to
join us.
Join us, exactly. But anyway, welcome so much, Chanel. And remember that you can send chats, you can send Streamlab tips, and we will read those as well. Any questions that come that way.
I'm looking at. I always forget to look at the tip link during.
I know you should have it opened and just kind of have it in the background. That way,
the tip that's at the bottom. It's in the description.
We can keep an eye out there for those as well. So, all right. So let us go ahead and invite. We have a waiting room. 11 people joining us here today. So let's go ahead and say hello to our friends. Welcome, everybody. Remember, as you join the Zoom, there are some tools at the bottom of the screen where among them you will see, I think it's expressions or something like that. Is that? React. And you can select the raised hand there.
And you don't have to turn your video camera on. We don't have to.
No requirement to
webcam.
turn on your video.
You can just visit us and hang out live. And theoretically, I guess you could ask questions too and talk without your camera on, so we don't have to see what you look like.
Totally. You can also ask, if you are in the Zoom chat, you know that you can also ask questions in the internal chat here. So if you want to send those out, I'll be moderating the questions there in the Zoom chat as well. So that way you can submit those if you'd rather submit a question in written form. So let me go ahead and make Rob the center of attention here, because, of course, that's what everybody's here for.
We're doing that since 2018 on the channel. Hey, man, next month, my 10th anniversary on YouTube.
That is insane.
I have to have a big party. I have to figure out what day it actually was.
Okay, yeah.
Although I'm not gonna stream for 10 years straight.
Now this is 10 years. This is 10 years. This is pre-Burnettwork, correct?
Yes, I started when the late great John Schnepp asked me to come on to YouTube. I'm like, why? I didn't, I watched movie trailers on YouTube. I didn't even realize it's funny. I didn't even realize until I started getting recognized. Like I was at a what was that? What's the name of that? Why am I drawing a blank on it? It's a big chain restaurant where they have a million things on the menu. Oh, the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was in Pasadena with Elizabeth. We're just going to get lunch, and we walked in. It was kind of busy, and the maitre d's like, "Oh my God, you're Robert Meyer Burnett." And I'm like, no one had ever like. I mean, fans. Right. It's not like I've been around, so it hasn't been like it's not. But it's totally weird to watch somebody like respond to that. And Elizabeth's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." Yeah. And he comes over and he's like, "Let me get you the best table in the house." And I'm like, "Is there a best table at the Cheesecake Factory?" I was very appreciative of it. But
sure,
that was the first time that I watch you all the time on YouTube, and I had to stop and think like, because I never watched our YouTube show. Like I would go into this, and this is probably part of my problem. I would go into the studio at Collider. It was AMC first. Mm-hmm. I would sit down, I would do the show, and I would leave.
Right.
And I should have stayed longer, and I'd gotten to know, because I really like most of the people at Collider. I mean, I really like Christian Harloff. I really love Mark Ellis. I mean, the really great guys. I still talk. Harloff called me this past week. And Roxy Stryer and all those people that were there were really pretty cool. I mean, I really enjoyed them. I just didn't take enough time, I think, to get to know people, or more importantly, let them get to know me.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because the first time I streamed with anybody was with John Campea. He was on. It was John Campea and John Schnepp, and I didn't know John Campea. Mm-hmm. And here we are. I mean, it's hard to believe that 10 years later, John Campea and I'm still streaming with him.
You're a regular contributor on his show. Yep.
Yeah. So. And the only reason I left back in June was because I had to go work on True Noir.
Sure.
And I'm finishing that up. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's some pretty exciting developments on that front, I have to say.
I know.
I can't.
I'm sure there's only so much you can reveal at this time.
Yeah. But it's pretty exciting. I mean, sort of something crazy that I didn't expect to happen. Well, it hasn't happened. I mean, it's you put things into motion, see where they go.
Yes. But there's always possibilities, right? Infinite diversity and infinite combinations out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting any younger. Chop, get to work. And I have to tell you, I mean, unfortunately, the audio facility that I've been making True Noir at is closing down because there's not enough work.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working. I mean, I'll still be able to work with my team, but it's just they're going to retire. And the facility that I've been working out of now for quite some time, it's a great Victorian house with its first floor has got 2 big studios. They finally succumbed, and they've been offered money by a development company for years and years and years, and they're gonna take it and retire, and they're gonna knock that Victorian down and build an apartment building.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows the road between Cochrane and between, let me go a little Californian for you, between Venice and Washington, they don't need another apartment building on that road. But they're gonna get it. You can't always get what you want.
You can't. All right. Well, let us get things started here. Remember, I go by the order of the queue as I see it, so I apologize. Some of you who have raised your hand may see a different queue, but I go by the order that I get them here. However, if there's any issue, maybe you're in a rush or something comes up and you need to communicate with me, please do so in the Zoom chat here. We'll be on live today for a couple of hours. Rob, do you have any hard timeout that you need to be done by?
No, I've got a big conference call at 4, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Should be done by then. Let's start things off with our Ultraman connoisseur, Mr. 1001 Johnny. Welcome, Johnny.
First on the show. I'm so excited.
But you're always first in our hearts.
You're just stirring me up.
That's true. I am. That's exactly what I'm doing.
So, you know what I was doing before I got here? I just got off a morning shift I was doing at my new job, and I was cleaning around the facility, and I was listening to Kevin Smith's Batman on Batman with Neil Adams.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Neil Adams
what,
might be my favorite Batman artist of all time.
why is there not a movie or TV show about his life? Like in Japan, they made a TV show about Hideaki Anno's early career and like how he got into the industry. How come we're not doing that? Steven Spielberg made a soft film about his life. Why aren't we celebrating Neil Adams? Like, oh my God.
Because we don't respect that in this country. It's funny. Our only comic creators, Stan Lee, maybe Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, but Neil Adams.
Yeah, but Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster, we wouldn't get them if it wasn't for Neil Adams. Like, that's how far I was getting into the story. Like, Neil Adams is the reason why we know who those two guys are, because he fought for them.
I know.
Oh, it's amazing. Like the way he tells the story, it really is alive. And then just him telling like how he started out. He grew up in Germany and then came over to the States because his dad was in the army, right? They were rebuilding Germany, and then they come back to the States, and they're in New York when he's 15, and he gets into a fight with these punks around the carousel. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is, and I love his work.
Yeah.
And he to me is the definitive Batman artist. I mean, there's been a lot of good. I just saw they made a trailer, like a movie trailer. They're doing doing Hush 2.
That's right. That's right.
They're doing Hush 2.
And Jim Lee.
Jim Lee's coming back. And I love Jim Lee's art. To me, the X-Men never looked better than when Jim Lee was drawing them. And I know I know everybody. I old school. Paul Smith was great. Dave Cockrum was great. I get it. I understand. But the Jim Lee, that California, to me, he was the California style.
Right.
I loved when Jim Lee took over the X-Men, man.
Yeah. Jim Lee. It was Hush. It was actually my first. You could argue I had Batman Showcase. Like my parents got me the Showcase, those big, thick black and white collections.
Oh yeah.
So I had a whole bunch of old, like 60s Batman or late 50s Batman adventures, and first volume of World's Finest. So the first time Batman and Superman team up and go on adventures together. Those were like my first real Batman comics. But Hush was like my first modern Batman comic. So Jim Lee. No disrespect, of course, to Neil Adams. Like Neil Adams is like maybe no. Okay, Jim Lee's my favorite Batman artist. Neil Adams is the god of Batman art.
Yeah. I mean, I just grew up reading Neil Adams, and I just loved his art style. Same when he was doing like Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
Right. Oh, his story of how he made John Stewart, how they conceptualized that character. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought it was really exciting to see that picture they released from the Lantern series this week. Just Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler just walking down a street, and I'm like, because to me, what they did with that photo was completely ground the idea of the Green Lantern series in real life. Like these two guys just and you see that Kyle Chandler has his lantern ring on. I love that. I thought that was awesome. It's such a strange thing, because I think we've reached a time in fandom. There's so much stuff that's available now, but there's so few people that have experienced all of it.
There's like I don't feel like there's a lot of historians. Maybe there is, and I'm just overlooking stuff, but I don't feel like there's a lot of celebrated historical records, like where I was telling you about this,
like
guy
the Thermians in Galaxy Quest, the historical records.
Well, remember I sent you that link about that guy and he told you about like the Japanese take on Worldview and how they tell their stories.
Bro, nothing has obsessed me more than that.
That guy has a whole blog going all over that stuff. The name of the blog is Giants of Light because it's Ultraman. But like the thing is, that guy celebrates the tokusatsu writers and all the history. He'll point you to where you can find the history. He celebrates that. One of my favorite Ultraman blogs to go to is where a guy goes over the artist, Tol Narita, who did the stuff for Ultra Q, Ultraman, and Ultra 7. And he just is reading the guy's art book and talking about all the influence and that sort of thing. And like, one of the most interesting stories I ever heard about comics was about Jack Kirby and how he came up with the demon. And the person who told that story was Neil fucking Adams.
Yeah.
It's about how he made the mask. And it's like, are the podcasts what you have to turn to if you want to know this stuff? Because if it wasn't for Kevin Smith just wanting to talk to everybody who's ever worked on Batman, like, where would Neil Adams have his platform to like tell 3 hours of all this?
Well, I think that there is a profound disinterest. You know, I think people are actively disinterested in the past. You know, and that's, I'm talking from a fandom, just from a fandom perspective now. I mean, when I was a kid, like, I wanted to know everything. Like, I needed to see every science fiction and horror and fantasy movie that was made, like everything, as far
like,
back as
the behind the scenes, like your whole behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings and whatnot. Like, that's what I grew up. You know, when the movie's over, I go watch that. That's why I'm so interested in all this stuff like that, behind the scenes.
Well, it's funny. I keep seeing, you know, for me, it's been 20 years this month when we went to Tamworth. I was in Australia working on Superman Returns, and we went 450 miles northwest into Australia from Sydney into the middle of Australia to shoot the Kent farm sequences. And it's wild to think it's 20 years, but I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of behind the scenes footage. I mean, the DVD only has a 3-hour documentary. And I was thinking, I've got it all. I'm like, I wonder if I should. I mean, obviously I don't legally have the rights to do it. But by the way, I wanted to tell you that Hot Toys announced they're doing a figure of the very first Kamen Rider and his motorcycle. So I'm very excited about that. But hey, it's good to see you and Fat Man on Batman. And that's you're absolutely right. But I want to talk to you more about the idea of world building and how to pronounce that word correctly. So
great to see you, Johnny. We've got Joey Hamilton coming up next. Welcome, Joey.
How's Buffalo?
We're okay. We're all right.
All right. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. Busy time.
I like your background.
This is a set in the children's show I work on. It's a miniature, actually.
Oh, really?
This is obviously just green screen, but yeah, it's
it looks like the red thing behind you is a miniature. You can kind of tell.
Yeah, that's more in focus. But like the ladder and stuff is a little harder to tell from here. But yeah, no, it's a really cool set. I did actually have a question for you that I've been thinking about for a while.
Here it comes.
It's not really related to you. I mean, I guess certain conversations, but all right. So there was a YouTube video I watched a few months back, and the YouTuber makes the argument that especially, fans of like science fiction and so forth get too obsessed with continuity and canon and like get mad if an entry in an ongoing series is bad, because to them that ruins the character. So like a very popular modern example is like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. A lot of people say that that's ruined the character. And this guy made an argument that that's a very childish way to look at it. Like he argues that he looks at each entity in a franchise as its own thing, and nothing in a future or past entry in any way affects the way that he enjoys the work that he enjoys. So if he likes, Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, he's not thinking about a future entry and letting that get in his head. So what I wanted to ask is if, how you feel about that, and to those of us who are not able to separate that, like we just can't get past it if we feel like something's in a later chapter or his sort of tainted it, if that is an incorrect way of interpreting the media, like if we should be able to kind of silo these things and not let that get in our head in any way.
Well, it's a great question. And look, for me, it's a numbers game. I mean, the thing about Luke Skywalker is we had 3 movies with Luke Skywalker in them. And the movie is about his journey. It's literally about him being a farm boy, not knowing much about the universe other than there's a rebellion against the Empire. He doesn't know anything about the Jedi Knights. He doesn't know anything about the Force. He really doesn't know anything about his father. He barely knows anything about Ben Kenobi. And so in those 3 movies, we watch him transition into his journey as a Jedi Knight. So it's literally about his transformation. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you have those 3 movies. And then the question is, where does Luke go from there? And so it's not like you've got 200 episodes of The Simpsons or something. So The Last Jedi is a conclusion to the first 3 movies. And so we don't get to see where Luke, and I think that where Luke winds up in The Last Jedi is really a complete betrayal of the story that is told in episodes 4, 5, and 6, or Star Wars Empire and Jedi. And I understand, look, it is a storytelling trope to show the protagonist becoming an old, burnt out character. That is, I mean, I think the greatest example of that, even though he was a villain, is you see something like William Money, Clint Eastwood's character in Unforgiven. And you see these characters and how people get old. The idea that we all get older, there's a great Western called The Professionals about all these aging gunfighters coming back and going off on one last ride, one last mission. So to me, that is a storytelling trope, and it is lazy.
Yeah,
it's lazy because it's really easy to take a character and go, oh my God, look where he is now. We have to get him back to where he was, and have him. But the problem was in Luke Skywalker's case, we have to ask ourselves, wait a minute. I do not believe that Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi would wind up where he is in The Last Jedi. I just don't believe it.
Well, yeah, sure, but let's like take that out of it. Like let's say we all agree that not everyone does, but let's just for argument's sake say that that's agreed upon, that we don't like what they did with the character. Should that, or is it? Do you think it is kind of childish to like let that impact you when you're watching the original trilogy? Do you think
I mean, I do. I think because it hasn't happened yet.
But even none of it happened. It's a fictional.
Yeah.
So like, is like, what about a lot of fans is it that we can't?
Well, because okay, you know what I think it really is. What I really think it is that we expect the people that are working on our favorite things to make them good. Otherwise, why would they be working on them? And I think it's really hard to understand why people would take things in a direction, like it's obvious where we want to see certain things go. And so why would you then take it? I think the frustrating thing, at least for me, is the people that have been given the custodianship of a character they didn't create are doing something that they don't have a right to do, and they're diminishing a character that doesn't have to be diminished. Like, right. Why do you choose to tell this particular story? Because one, it's lazy. And what you've done is it's easy to tear somebody down and not tell us how they got there. It's like, it's not, I think the frustrating thing is it's not you don't have the right to do it. You didn't create the character. But to put a beloved character where you're watching them on a journey that's taking them, that's elevating them, a journey that means something to the audience. And then you just jump right ahead, and this character has been completely diminished and has been completely, in a way, denigrated. Now, you could say that, well, he does the most Jedi thing ever by not even being on the planet at the end when he's confronting Kylo Ren. He's not even there. That's the most Jedi thing ever. but yeah, but you've leapt over, and especially when in the extended universe, there's all these really fascinating stories that show us where Luke goes. And that's another thing. If stories exist in other mediums that have told really interesting stories, like starting with Dark Empire and the heir to the Timothy Zahn trilogy and the Dark Empire trilogy that came out in 1991. You know, I mean, I think that I don't think, look, it's all fiction, so none of it really matters. You can say whatever you want. You don't have to watch Last Jedi. You can pretend it doesn't exist. But culturally, when you have something that, I would say that one of the things, and I think we're seeing this across the board, the stories themselves are subordinate to the creators, and they're bringing an agenda to something. Whereas if you're looking at a story like Star Wars, Lucas was working with archetypes that were ancient, that go all the way back to the Greek myths. And it feels like there's a way to tell stories that are honest, and there's a way to tell stories that are not. And I think what's happening is that if you're going to work in fantasy, if you're going to work in the hero's journey, and I'm not just talking about Joseph Campbell, I'm talking about go all the way back to Greek mythology, go Beowulf or Grendel or whatever stories you're going to talk about, Gilgamesh. You know, there's these ancient story forms that you're working within. And if you just decide to subvert them, it feels disingenuous. And it feels like you didn't do your job. And I think that that's some of the things that makes people, like, we see it with all of our IPs, because once you have, like, the Star Trek, there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Star Trek. It's much harder to tell a Star Trek story now. So what do people do? They bring their current present day. I'm going to make a character that I relate to. So I'm going to bring in I'm going to make a character that's essentially me, which is the ultimate version of what a Mary Sue is. That is the author inserting themselves into the story, rather than tell a story where the character is, when you're working within those forms, there are things that are expected to happen. You can change them. But what we're seeing now is creators are they're self-inserting, and it doesn't matter what it is. And then they're bringing, and when you can say that all creators are self-inserting, but they're also working within certain forms that exist. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting, I think it's a bummer to know where a character is going to go. And you can't not think about The Last Jedi. You can't think about where Luke winds up. It does taint everything, because the first thing you think about when Return of the Jedi is over, what's next for Luke? What are they going to do with the galaxy? Are they going to build up a new Jedi Order? You're asking these questions, and the next time we see Luke is in The Last Jedi, and all the wonders and possibility that you thought could have happened. Nope. I'm going to throw my lightsaber over my shoulder, which is like the last thing anybody wants. But anyway, it's a great question.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us as always, Joey. We've got Brian coming up next. Brian, you should be able to join us now. Welcome.
Hey.
How's it going, dude?
Going good, except people bring up the Abrams and the Last Jedi trilogy, and that always gets me hot. Well, I shared this as a super chat. One of my first super chats I ever shared with you. I shared a story that I didn't know it at the time, but after dreaming of doing a Star Wars press junket, I got the invite to do the press junket for The Rise of Skywalker, and I was just beside myself. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but that was going to be my last big junket because COVID hit.
Right.
Okay. So I did not have that information.
That movie itself is worse than COVID. Just kidding. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's terrible.
No, it's a terrible movie. It
really is a terrible. It might be. I would say Rise of Skywalker and Star Trek Into Darkness are neck and neck with being the very worst big budget science fiction films or fantasy films ever made, ever.
And it's funny you bring in Star Trek, because my super chat to you at the time was, had I known, I mean, I treated it professionally. I hated the movie. I'm not a big fan of J.J. Abrams, but I treated the interview very professionally. But had I known that was going to be my last, I would have gone out with a bang and said, do you realize, Mr. Abrams, that you fucked up 2 of my favorite trilogies or 2 of my favorite franchises? I mean, come on. But
I mean, and there's a reason why he hasn't directed since.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look, and I don't begrudge anybody who for making their way in the entertainment business, but it just seems to me that that's a failure, an incredible failure. You're failing our culture when you make something like that. And you know, it really depends. Do you value that or not? I don't know.
Well, something that I value very much, I'm going to show you in a moment. I had an interview crew in my office yesterday we were doing some interviews for a book that I'm publishing in May. And they were asking me about the collection in the office and all the collectibles and knickknacks. And they asked, like, what's one of your favorite collectibles? And one of my favorites ever was, not because I particularly loved the game, but I loved the ability to have the Jaws game, because besides T-shirts, that's all you could get.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
They're making a new one.
I was leading into that. I was curious if you saw that.
I just saw that this morning. I just saw a picture of that. It's coming at you this way.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful sculpt of Bruce.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's very cool. So
I just can't believe that Jaws is 50 years old this year.
Right.
I mean, I saw it when it first came out, which is just it's wild.
I'll let you answer first, and I'll tell you, what's your earliest memory of Jaws? Before you ever saw it, how did Jaws become something that you were aware of?
Okay, I listened to the radio. I listened to this radio station in Seattle called KJR Seattle Channel 95. I loved album-oriented rock, you know, because they played everything from like the Eagles to Bread and, you know, Ventura Highway or whatever. I mean, I knew all the songs, but they used to have great radio ads for movies. And, you know, the radio ads for Jaws, the first movie that really made me want to see it because of radio ads that I recognized was The Exorcist. I thought that, I was like, wow, you could tell that The Exorcist was the scariest movie ever. And as a kid, I wanted to see it. I would beg my parents. I didn't even know what an exorcist was. I'm like, I just knew it was because the words like an onomatopoeia, you know, it sounds like it is The Exorcist. I'm like, what does that mean? And I had no idea. And then the same thing was true of Jaws, because you heard the music and by then you were hearing what the critics thought about it. And so those radio ads, I heard them incessantly. And for whatever reason, my parents just wouldn't take me. And then it was because my friend Jeff Swafford, and Jaws had been out for a long time before we had seen it, like almost like, I want to say 6 months, because we got to go. I got to go because of my friend Jeff Swafford's birthday, and it was in February. And I think Jaws came out the summer before. So it had been playing, and movies played for a year in Seattle. You know, Seattle had a big, so we went to this Coliseum theater that's no longer there, but the same theater I saw like Roller Coaster and Sense Around, and I saw Flash Gordon there, and it was a big grand movie theater, but it was kind of run down even when Jaws played there, and so I finally got to go see it, and we went there, and it was interesting because the thing that struck me the most about Jaws is I was 8. Or maybe I was going to turn 8, so I guess I was 7. I was 7 when I saw Jaws. Yeah, because I hadn't. No. You know what? I would have been 8 because it opened in 75. I would have seen Jaws in February of 76, I believe. Okay. That's when I saw Jaws, and that was, and when we finally went. You know, it's hard to explain to a kid what you think of something. And what I thought was really interesting about Jaws was I didn't understand, like it was more, I thought Jaws, it was going to be some funny, like more of a cartoon character. Like I didn't know, like from the very beginning of that movie, when I was, you know, about 8 years old watching this, I hadn't seen, it was the second PG movie I'd seen in a theater. The first was The Lamb That Time Forgot. That was the first PG movie I saw in a theater. And the first R-rated movie was Exorcist 2, which was a huge disappointment. But going to see Jaws, what struck me was it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. Like, I didn't know how realistic it was going to be. And it opens, obviously, with the attack on Chrissy in the water. And I knew that I was seeing something that I hadn't seen before. Like, this wasn't something I was going to see on TV. And I'm like, I felt like I was stepping into a more adult world, which happened to me a lot. Logan's Run, seeing Logan's Run the same year when they're going through the love shop and there's all these writhing bodies and you got to see Jenny Agutter. So 1976 was a pretty big year for me when I started seeing more adult fare in the theater. Because, my parents would take me to all the Disney live action movies, like the Herbie movies or Treasure of Montecumbia. Yeah, Island at the Top of the World, and which I loved. I did love those Disney because they were not stupid movies. I mean, even the Herbie the Love Bug movies weren't dumb. Like, the main characters were not kids. It was like Dean Jones. So, yeah. But yeah, I can't wait. I mean, a lot of my friends are going to Martha's Vineyard for the big celebrations. And I can't afford it. But man, there's a lot of cool shit going on in Martha's Vineyard this coming, like, in June. And I'm trying to get an Airbnb, or it's going to be wild. I really want to go to the 50th anniversary Jaws celebration. I mean, I might, if I can, put some money away or something. I'd love to go, because a lot of people, we're talking about renting a Winnipeg, like a big RV. Just rallying up from, like, Atlanta. It'd be fun.
That'd be fun. Well, thanks for joining us, Brian. We've got, I apologize if I don't pronounce his name correctly. Actually, before I do that, we do have a super chat I keep forgetting to read. So let me make sure that I do that now. Daniel Vasquez, $9.99. Hey, Rob. I won't be able to go to CinemaCon this year because last year a stalker doxed me and got me fired from my job. Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah. What did you get doxed, like, for being at the conference when you were supposed to be at work? That's crazy. Wow. Anyway, I got a new job recently. Hope to go and see you again next year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to CinemaCon this year. I'd like to go. I don't know. They denied my press credentials, even though I've been there before. But I'm like, gosh, sorry. I guess I haven't done enough to make myself worthy of your,
You've been busy working. Right?
I mean, it's not like between the John Campea show or this show, we have almost 500,000 subscribers.
Right.
It's okay. I mean, it's not like we don't talk about CinemaCon every day practically.
Right. Anyway, the next person joining us, new name for me, I think it's Cyan Hagiri. I apologize if I am mispronouncing that. So you should be able to join us, and please correct us with your last name there.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's pronounced Cyan, however you want to do it.
Yeah, like the color.
Yeah, just like the color.
Sounds good. Welcome, Cyan.
How's it going? Well, first I want to ask Rob, or either of you, did you see those concept art leaks from the Doomsday that leaked today?
Oh no.
Yeah, no. Have you heard about it? Is this the first you've heard of it?
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of it.
News to me.
Okay,
how do we know that they're when it comes to concept art leaks, I don't believe anything anymore.
That's why I was just about to say I don't want to even go down the rabbit hole. You'll see.
Oh, I do.
Today. Okay. Hey, let's do it.
Let's see.
Look them up, because
you can tell if they're real by how quickly they get taken down.
They all got taken down. Like it's gone. If you're able to find it, find it. But if not, I do have screenshots.
Oh yeah, let's see them.
All right, I don't know how to pull it up from my computer.
Oh wait, actually, Forbes is reporting on this.
Okay, sweet. So there you
Forbes. Go. Let's see what the Forbes article says.
There's one
Avengers Doomsday concept art reportedly leaks and reveals a lot. Oh, okay, Forbes.
It's
Marvel
great.
fans are eating this morning with the seemingly accidental release of discovery of a number of pieces of concept art by a Marvel artist that reveal not just the overall concept of Avengers Doomsday, but seemingly a number of characters who will be featured in the film as well. Of course, there's the stipulation that this is a concept and not necessarily the final product, but it would be pretty significant if they shifted away from the entire idea, which seems to be based around a medieval-inspired concept of Doom ruling from this throne in Latveria, likely set in Battleworld, but with a number of existing MCU figures serving as will here, like the comic-based Sheriff Strange and Yelena Belova as part of his court. He seems to have Reed Richards in change. And of course, on Marvel Updates, they have the actual art.
Yep. So now you see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the poor Vision. What's going on with Vision?
Yeah,
I mean, it's, all this stuff they have. It looks like they have a new Black Panther.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of people saying that's Damson Idris. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, if that's pronounced correctly, but I believe that's who they're saying is like being portrayed in that concept art.
I mean, here's the thing, though.
You're totally right.
Here's the thing. Now that I'm looking at this, so they have a visual the MCU over at Marvel, they've got a whole visual design department where all they do is come up with visual concepts. So I don't think this necessarily, some of it can be true, some of it cannot. I mean, that's what they do, is they do all of these concepts to see
what's totally going right. I gotta be honest, you're right. I just can't help like the nerd in me like be really.
No, I mean, dude, I'm stoked. I look at that stuff. Those things are really, really, really cool.
I just can't help but think of like RDJ or Robert Downey channeling his I forget the name of the character he played in Oppenheimer, but I can't help but like imagine him channeling that character while sitting on the throne as Doom. Like, just that's gonna be sick to me. I can't wait. But what were you gonna say?
Well, no, I mean, and I would say that, I mean, obviously the movie goes into production this month.
But there's rumors. You're right. Who knows if it's true that it's getting moved back a little bit because of rewrites or something? But who knows? It's all rumors.
Yeah, I mean, it's look.
Supposed to start shooting.
Here's the funny thing. The thing that people don't understand is when we hear about something, when there's actual news, like if someone's like so and so was cast in this role, they were cast 6 months ago. It's just that it was not released because the contracts weren't finished. So we're getting, when we hear confirmation of something, it's usually confirmation of things that have been in the works for a long time. So to me, I've always thought the whole idea of spoilers and fans looking for information was kind of silly, because what's happened has happened already. It's not a spoiler to uncover something that's actually happened. It's just we don't know what it is. And I've always thought that idea was dumb. It's like, why do you want to find out why would you want to know something that's happened if it's, I mean, happened? I think your mic is can't hear you. But yeah, but it's cool. Look, I still think this is ill-conceived from the get-go, because we don't know who the Avengers are. There's been no continuity, and there's been no build-up to anything.
You're totally right.
And that's I think that's a real problem. That, I went back just as the other day, I went back and watched that extended Infinity War trailer that began with the black and white footage of all. It began, you hear Nick Fury, then each character, and it starts out with the planet when you see Titan and the storms and the cloud, and I got chills.
Yeah,
I'm watching this going, because we loved all those people.
You're right.
Love
you're
that.
Right. Right. We don't have that right now.
No, and nobody cares.
You're right.
None of the characters that exist in the Marvel universe, like I would care about Doctor Strange, but we haven't seen. I mean, the last time we saw him, it was like, oh, okay, that was fine, and then he goes off with Charlize Theron to where?
I totally agree with you. I think at this point, what I'm kind of hoping and / relying on is, for example, think like Captain America: Brave New World. In my opinion, I can tell so much how much I appreciated the way the Russos directed.
And
wrote. What's the character?
Marcus and McFeely wrote those
Sam
movies.
Wilson, the way they portrayed Sam Wilson in like Winter Soldier, Civil War. Some people even say like, "Wow, I liked Black Panther and Civil War way more than in his own movie." But you get my point. I guess at this point, I just have to hope that the Russos can make these characters that Marvel has been trying to kind of force feed us these past few years and just somehow make us care about them in the little amount of time they'll have, because they got a lot of people that they're going to have to give screen time to in these movies. But yeah.
Well, what's really interesting, you know what that concept art tells me?
Mm-hmm.
It tells me that it's so different from what we've been getting.
Yeah.
So if you drop us into that world,
yeah,
it'd be like reading, like when you read the Age of Apocalypse, you're reading these X-Men comics, you know, they're fine, and then bam, you're in the Age of Apocalypse, and everything is like, oh my God, what's going on?
Totally.
If they could do that, nobody will care about they'll just people are going to be like, the universe will be so different. And the one thing that that concept art has told me, because there is nothing that has happened Spider-Man No Way Home was fine.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of, none of it matters. Nothing matters. So
sorry.
Oh, they can just drop you right in, and it doesn't matter because no one's going to be waiting. Well, I wonder if they're going to deal with what happened in this movie, because there's nothing that's happened since Infinity War that anybody or Endgame that anybody gives a fuck about.
Totally, yeah, you're totally right. Thank you for talking about it. Yeah, that's. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. I'm glad I got it.
Yeah, I'm looking at that concept art and like, shit, man.
Yeah,
that to me, just those pictures of like Doom on his throne and the Hulk and I guess Hulkling or whatever hanging out on the street, whatever environment they're in. I'm like, I no longer care about anything other than give me that. That's what I want to see. Give it to me, because the MCU is entirely inconsequential from the end of Endgame. None of it matters. Don't care. As a matter of fact, they should just start the movie and going, none of this, everything that's happened from Black Widow to although I hear Thunderbolts is good. People are saying Thunderbolts is good.
But
so
do you think people are going to care about Thunderbolts, Rob, especially after the performance of Brave New World?
I think people will care about any movie if it's good.
Yeah.
You know, there's no. I always say every franchise is one movie away from coming back on top again.
Although I gotta say, Rob, I the other day I watched a movie that you had recommended to me, which I thought was pretty good, but at the time it flopped, and it was Joyride. Speaking of CinemaCon,
what wasn't Joy? Yeah, but here, you know what? Here's the thing about that movie. I don't think they sold. I mean,
they didn't market it well.
Joy. First of all, I love, who doesn't love Asian girls looking to get laid?
Right.
That movie is so raunchy and hilarious.
Yeah.
That movie, and I was surprised where that movie went.
Oh yeah.
Like that ongoing the ongoing joke about the tattoo.
Yes.
And when it's finally revealed, that was literally I think we saw that at CinemaCon.
It was a cinema. Yeah, that's what you recommended.
That brought the house down. Right. And I was like, oh my, that movie was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that movie wasn't a huge hit.
I know.
I just don't. I still don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think was my favorite comedy I saw in a movie theater in a long time.
Yeah, I hear you.
It was that reveal that it was such the chef's kiss.
Yeah,
that was built up, and then it was like bam.
Yeah,
and that was good.
Yeah,
everybody should see Joyride. The thing is, it's not going to change your life. Like everybody watches every movie like it's going to change your life. No. But for what it was, it delivered, man.
Totally.
It delivered.
All right, we got Krizik coming up next. Welcome, Krizik.
What's going on, man?
Not much. What's going on with you? You have been battling so much stuff. Rob, I have been always cheering for you. I can't be there for all of your calls because you are in the West Coast, and I'm not going to stay up that late because I have to be in the studio in the morning where I work. So I have to say, you just keep on keeping on, right? Don't let the haters keep you down.
Well, it's
they're your number one fans. I know that, but
I miss what I'm looking for is back up what you're saying.
Exactly.
Like where's people just say stuff now, and I'll post something. I'm like, did you even read the article that I posted? And they don't.
No,
they don't read, and there's no cogent discourse. There's nothing.
No, not at all. But
there's especially because we're living through a very interesting time, you know, and I was talking with Roberto about this. There's so much more going on, especially in our political arena, than people are paying, and this is by design, than people are paying attention to. They're looking at it all from a very surface level, and I'm like, guys, it's right in front of you what's happening, and no one seems to quite get it.
No, they don't. And look, you and I are both on polar opposites when it comes to, you know, our politics. But I love you like my shalom brother. You know,
well, I don't know if we're. I don't. So I think people think I'm on one political side, and I wouldn't say
well,
that.
I know you. I know you're not. But I don't want to turn this into a political thing because
I mean, you can't not. I mean, I think I always try and look at what's happening on the world stage as a story.
Yeah.
And what is unfolding on the world stage, and it's like Donald Sutherland in as X in Oliver Stone's JFK.
Exactly.
You know, if they're just go watch that monologue. You know, it's like 7 minutes long, and he's asking the question, who stands to benefit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I think it's really interesting that this week it came out that the name of Steven Spielberg's secret movie that he's making is Disclosure.
Yeah, see. So
which I'm like,
see, you're going to take me down a whole different rabbit hole. That's not. I didn't want to ask you that question. You're going to take me down a different rabbit hole than I.
Christian Harloff called me to talk about Disclosure.
I'm sure he did.
Not the movie,
but in Disclosure in general.
Yeah, which is such that's a whole other thing. You know, I'm like, it's like the question I was talking to Roberto about. Not to, like, let's say you were granted mineral rights to a foreign country.
Yes. And
let's say that the Chinese, for instance, have been snapping up mineral rights all through Africa.
Yeah.
And they've done it. Let's say you had mineral rights to a foreign country. How would you get those minerals to yourself? How would you do that?
Well, that's a really good question.
And who would do that? Would you supply the manpower? And if you had mineral rights, would you then broker a deal with someone else to share those minerals that you have mineral rights to?
Rob, you're touching on some very big stuff, but that is not even the question I wanted to ask you.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But this is the question that I don't see people asking.
No, I get it. I get it. When I come out to California, if I can get out there and get to the Magic Castle, I'm going to take you over to where the playing piano is, and we will have that talk. You and I.
I love the Magic Castle, by the way.
Awesome, super awesome.
I love it.
And hopefully you are doing well, because I know some of our folks there have been dealing with the fires as well. So
no, it's in LA, the economy, everything is brutal, and it's like with True Noir, you have to make your own work.
Yeah,
you know, and figure out how are we going to finance this. That's the hard part. And now something kind of fell in my lap that I have to go finance it again. Like, where do you? The problem is, it's, you know, in the world we live in, it's paying people back. You can't finance a project unless you know you can get money coming back in, because you want to be able to pay everybody back so you can go to them again to finance the next project.
Exactly.
Luckily, it looks like True Noir will do just that. I'm very excited about that. But then you have to, like, we're moving forward with taking this. So there's something that there's an interim phase of True Noir that could pop up that I didn't think we were going to have an opportunity to do. But God bless Max Allan Collins.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is not audio related. I mean, would be audio in it.
Oh no, I know where you're going, and I think I know where you're going.
But an interim phase that I was like, it's very interesting, Max. let's go do that, because it would be an extra added bonus to what's going on with our first audio drama. And we can say, by the way, we also have this thing. Let's just say, we'll see. I'll know in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. And with that, I'm going to segue to other movie related stuff, cinematography stuff that I know you and I both know, and Brian and other folks here know. So are you looking at my screen right now? You see what I'm sharing? My head's
hang on.
headspace.
Let me put you on. I'm gonna go.
I usually want to try to get these out of the way early so I can get.
Yeah, so you're looking at Blowout. That's Blowout.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to run through this.
And
So
Carlito's
obviously,
Way.
it's all about framing.
Yes.
It's all about framing. You know what I'm putting up right there.
Yep.
For those of you that don't know what that is, please Google it. It's all about the golden ratio.
The golden ratio.
I was having with some folks at the studio that are younger than me, and they don't really understand because they were trying to tell me a certain horror movie was their best movie in terms of how cinematographically great it was done. And I had to disagree. And you can probably guess as to what it is. And it's you'll see as I go along here. So here's some other examples. Your favorite director, Jackie, I'll use her as an example of this.
I can't believe you're putting Blood Diner up
She
here.
at least knows the rule, though, Rob. So
but that's the rule of thirds. But that's the rule of thirds, really.
But it's at least a rule, though, right? Because watch where we're going. Where if you always do a center composition, it can still work because we're using all of the actual footage, or not footage, but the actual scene to draw the eye in, right? That's part of
Well, Kubrick, he did that. That was his style. He would use the frame and then center things in the frame and use the frame as the. I mean, that was his.
That. So guess who doesn't do that? Guess who doesn't do that, Rob? This person doesn't do that. Damien doesn't do that. Yes, I know I'm being mean to Damien. If you want to come at me in the comments, Damien.
Well, don't mute him yet. Don't mute him. But yeah, it will again. The rule of thirds. And he's not even using center composition either.
No, but he knows how to. The problem is that he kept on. So the kids made me watch. By kids, I mean my younger folks that work with me at the studio. They made me watch all the Terrifiers because they're like, oh yeah, you got to watch it. This is the best horror movie we've ever seen. And I'm like, well, you guys are only 23, so you don't know any better. And I had to watch all of them, and I'm using 2 because it was the somewhat better one of all the 3 that he's done. Again, no offense to him, he's only done these movies. He's made a lot of money with them, so I'm not gonna. I'm respecting the hustle, But
I would also say that because everyone's shooting digitally now, and you have a lot of leeway to play with the frame.
Yeah,
I would imagine a lot of these are repose shots. The shots have been repositioned. You're not looking at.
But he was repositioning on the first one to center frame. That's my point. He would get this shot for what you see here, and then he would reposition it to where the clown is like now center, and then flattening the shot. Well,
because I'm sure he wants the face bigger.
Right. But then it flattens all the background because none of the background's dynamic. You know these. I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it just irritates.
No, but I think that the kids today they haven't learned this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's like you went to Cal Arts. You're supposed to know this. It's like I know you. I know the person that teaches still there. You should know.
But they don't.
I know people from Ringling that were complaining to me about this. I was like, I know the people that are teaching there too. You should know this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry. That's my time. Thank you so much for always speaking.
No, but look, I go on 4K forums. I saw somebody post this week. Why would you want to get Casablanca in 4K? Because it wasn't shot in 4K. And I'm just like, I can't even, man. I can't. Like, what world do we live in? You have all this information right at your fingertips. I mean, if I was in school, I would turn into Palpatine if I was teaching. If I was a teacher, I would let me tell you the power of I would be like it would be I would berate I'd throw a lot of erasers at my students. That's what I would do. I would have like a whole phalanx of all around, or just I would love to throw erasers at the kids. And I would tell people I would make them take this home to your parents on the first day of school. This is going to allow me to throw erasers at your head. And they're going to be dipped in as much chalk dust as possible, just so you know. And you won't get hit hard, but you're going to get hit every day.
But you need to be Palpatine from the original ESB, not.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes. Not like this.
You exactly.
Take your Jedi weapon. I'm going to be Clive Revel. Yes, if he could be turned.
Yep. We got.
Can it be done? Can it be done?
Major Chai is here. Welcome, Major.
Hi, Roberto. How you doing?
Good. Welcome.
Hey, look at that. You've got the classic Klingon battle cruiser from Next Gen up there.
Yep.
Is that the toy?
Yeah. I've had that since I was in college.
Is that the Playmate, the first Playmates toy that they released with the buttons on the?
Yeah, I've had these on before.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yes,
Does
you
it
have.
still work? Does it still light up?
Yeah. You want to hear?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, I don't mean make you get up.
I got to unplug my earbud.
Oh.
Oh,
I didn't mean to make you take it off the wall. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's all right. It still lights up.
yeah.
That is a Vorcha class ship.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I got to show you something else.
Fly me to the moon, Major. I like that. I love these things. It's funny. I saw something. I just saw, I don't know, something. It was in a movie or something. It had, and I was like, I love those things. By the way, I watched Zero Day, the 6-episode Zero Day on Netflix with Robert De Niro as a former president. It was pretty good.
And then, yeah, it's on Netflix. I don't have Netflix.
Oh, have you watched Paradise at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My son is even interested in it. Gen Z.
Did you watch episode 7?
That's the one where they go back to the day of.
How fucking great was that?
It was interesting. There were moments in my life where I was flashbacking to, because
that's not good. That was an awesome shot. You couldn't have planned that better. No, it was. And there's only one more episode. Like, I don't. How are they going to end this show?
Well, they said it's
it got renewed though.
Renewed for the second season. So yeah, who knows? But I did also watch September 5th.
Oh, wasn't that great?
Yes, I love that. And I'm like, why is it not nominated for more things? Because I
think not a lot of people saw it.
Yeah. And I was like,
here's my copy.
I was like so drawn into it. I loved the teamwork. I loved the professionalism. I loved how they solved problems. And of course, the historical impact. I'm like, and like Ben Chaplin, I did not even recognize him. I'm like,
so good.
Yeah. It was like all the characters, I know they're based off of real people, but the verisimilitude was there.
It was, well, what was amazing to me was it was very matter of fact. Like, they didn't add a lot of extra drama. They didn't have to. Like, it happened in real time practically, aside from like the night they went from. It was so good. I mean, it was so authentic, and I was, as a gearhead, I'm like, oh my God, it's all the great 70s.
I was thinking the same thing. All the buttons and the radio.
It was like pornographic. The way they would, every time somebody took, they had film cans, and we can get into the bath and develop it in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I would have loved to have.
And how they came up with sneaking into the village, that I just, all of that was great. So much so that I started watching Munich. I've gotten about a third of the way through of it, just because I'm.
Had you ever seen it before?
No.
Oh, Munich is dope. It's one of Spielberg's best movies.
So yeah, I'm doing that, and I finished watching The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I also watched The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. That one I didn't like as much.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I just couldn't. I don't know. I loved the set. I love the colors of the set and the production values, but I just couldn't. It just didn't take me there.
All right. I mean, it's hard. It's definitely an acquired taste. We don't have anything like that now.
No.
So it's a little twee. I mean, I get it.
But I figured, I liked all the other stuff. I love the Three Colors trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, and you kind of like everything.
Yeah.
It's and that's definitely an acquired. It's something. It's really hard to get used to, especially with the singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to get into, which I totally understand.
For me, that may have been it, because I kept wanting. It's like the way they were singing was very I don't say discordant, but it was.
Yeah.
You're expecting a rhythm, and to go back and touch on it, and it never does.
No,
so
it doesn't have. It's not. That's not, and that's the thing you expect.
And I know that that's why they were doing that. That's part of the movie. But there's still that part of me that's going.
Yes, and that, but you're not wrong, because you're expecting a certain form, and it's not. You haven't seen that before, so it's like, I don't know if I like this. It's not really working for me. I mean, that's fair.
So but I've got a whole list thanks to you and Modeste.
Well, it's just, it's weird because these are all things that I saw growing up, and it was you'd read about them, and then we were lucky because in Seattle we had a thing called the Neptune Theater, which was a landmark theater, and they would show every month. They would publish their calendar, and they would show for it was either 1 day or 2 days. They usually had a double feature, and it was all old movies. Yeah. And that's when I would want to see something, and you'd look at the Neptune schedule and went, oh, okay, I'm going to go see that, because you could find it, and they would show the film print of it. And so I grew up seeing all these things in a theater, and now it's really hard because no one goes back and looks at that stuff. I mean, because there's 10,000 more things than there were back then, but that's what we would do just as a habit. Like, okay, I can go see a movie in a theater that I'd never seen before. And like, I'd read about Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I'd seen pictures of it. I'm like, what is it? Like, and we would go like, I don't know what it is. And so you would go see it, and it would be playing on as a double bill with something else. Like, it could be like, I don't know, Ken Russell's The Music Lovers or something. And you never knew. And you had that mindset like, okay, I'm going to sit and watch this and see what it is. And for me, for the most part, it was always this magical. It was very magical and transportive, because we had it was like, I have no idea what this is going to be, and you would sit down, and it was wild to, and it's kind of a bummer that we don't have that anymore, because now, we had to go to that theater. So we knew, and at the time I had to take 3 buses to get there. So the bus ride, it was like a 90-minute or 2-hour commitment to get to the theater. And then it was 2 hours back or whatever, unless somebody was going to pick us up. So we knew that whatever we were going to see, it was always going to be magical, because the theater had they already booked it. So it already had some validation for us. So we knew it was incumbent upon us to figure out what that was. So if we didn't like something, we're like, I didn't like that very much as I wanted to. It was our fault. It wasn't like, well, maybe I'll like the next one better. So, but yeah, nowadays people don't have to do that. You can turn things off. I don't like this, I'll turn it off. Yeah. But that's a tough one. That's a tough one to love. So, but then, I just throw all this stuff out because to me it was all very interesting. Like, I would tell, that's something I should say to people. It's this discordant. It's not a musical the way you think of a traditional musical with melody and except with the da na 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 na. That piece of music. That's the thing that'll kill you.
Yeah, it's a sung script. It's not a made up of numbers, right? It's just like the script is sung. Yeah, it's like, I just find Catherine Deneuve mesmerizing in that film. I mean, it's just.
Would you like to go to lunch? Yeah. Where? I don't know where. What would you like to eat?
Exactly.
Fish. Pasta.
Which, regardless of controversy aside, I think it was something that Emilia Perez was trying to do in the way that it was playing with music. Kind of, something along those lines. So,
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think that I don't love that movie, but I think that there's something about it that makes it very unique. Like I the same way, like a lot of people just dismissed and hated Joker, Folle et Deux.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. It's not fair to dismiss it. You can not like it, certainly, but it's not like it wasn't well made.
Yeah. Victor Griggs is here again. Welcome, Victor. You should be able to unmute.
You mean Victor Griggs, the author
The
of this
author.
book?
Accomplished author Victor Griggs. That's right.
Yeah, man. I busted out. I got my roll. I got my copy of Rolling Through Life. This is some physical fucking media right there, Victor.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it very much. I hope it was better than Section 31.
Well, okay, you shouldn't say that because that's not a very high bar. This is better than Section 31.
Thank you.
I want to read something. It says, Mom, you could have given me up, but you said, no, this is my baby. I will love him, disability and all. And I will stand tall through it, all the ups and downs, and be courageous and laugh through the craziness. So when I get frustrated, as a son tends to do, I remember you could have given me up, but you chose not to. Now, why did I choose to read that? My mother, I was adopted. And for whatever reason, my mother had to give me up. And so that resonated with me, that, you know, obviously you were born the way you were, your mother stood by you. Now, I was able to meet my biological mother later in life when I was 29 years old, and she was amazing, and I totally understood why she did what she did. But I was happy just to be alive, because when I found out how close I came to not existing at all. But when I got your book and read that particular passage resonated with me. So thanks for that, man.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was good stuff. And I like the book. I really like the cover too. You know, I think this cover is really neat. I really enjoyed it. And nice photo, very handsome photo of you on the back there. Nicely done.
Thank you. So much stuff I want to talk to you about, but I picked two things. Enough about me. I want to hear more about your story. What was the first moment when you knew that you wanted to be part of the entertainment business?
Oh, that's a good, that's a good question. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about it. I have to go back to when I was like 5, because when I was 5 years old was when I started to really understand when stuff was on TV, and I was looking for things. That's when I found like Star Trek. And when I was 5, I saw War of the Worlds and Planet of the Apes and all these things, because I started looking at the TV guide. Somehow I made a connection that the TV guide, for those of you who don't know, is a weekly guide to TV shows. And my mom would get it every Wednesday. And when I started watching movies, the first time there was a guy named George Pal, and George Pal produced War of the Worlds, When Worlds Collide, and Conquest of Space. And those were, when I was 5 years old, those were like my favorite movies. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I thought, I want to be George Pal. Like, and his last name was Pal. So I'm like, I guess, yeah, as a kid, I'm like, maybe he would be my pal. But his name was George Pal. So that's when I started thinking, like, that guy had the job to make these 3 movies. He made War of the Worlds, and I found Destination Moon later, and then he made Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, and he tried to make Logan's Run. But George Pal was the first guy whose name I knew who made movies. And I'm like, I want to be him. I want to be George Pal. And it was funny because as a kid, there was lots of people that made movies, but his name, you would say George Pal production. And I just thought his name, like, he was going to be one day I thought I could meet George Pal. I think he'd passed away by then, but I wanted to be that. So that's what made me want to get into the entertainment business.
That's awesome. Thank you for telling me.
Because, he made movies with rocket ships in them. Like, he made movies where the Martians showed up, mankind went to Mars, and then the Earth was destroyed. And I'm like, I want to make movies just like him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Secondly, I wanted to get your opinion. I'm working on a story that I hope to turn into a movie, but we'll see. But
Yeah, well, don't give up.
yeah, movies are hard to make, as you know. So I'm working on a story where all the world gets affected by a virus, which puts everyone in a wheelchair with a disability like mine, and they have to find a way to deal with it. And there's all kinds of stuff in it: love, romance, a little bit of everything. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. There's a movie, I want to say it's called Blindness, or that I think where people start losing their faculties, like what you were saying, and it really is really interesting. I mean, I think that idea, like being in a wheelchair, being immobile, like you can't move, or
what is that movie called? I'll look it up and watch it.
I think like Ewan McGregor is in it. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. And then there's a movie called Blindness that's based on a book by a guy named Jorge Scarmaggio or something. Let's see.
Rob, are you referring to the Julianne Moore movie Blindness, 2008?
Yeah, is Ewan McGregor in it? Blindness is the Julianne Moore movie is the one that's based on the book. Blindness.
Mark Ruffalo is in it, but
but this is a different one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a movie where people, yes, and that's based on a book.
Okay, I'm also working on the book version as well, so I have to look it up to make sure I'm not repeating the same things that they are.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find this because it was really interesting. People start losing. I mean, Blindness is there too, but I'm
looking through his filmography. So if you want to continue chatting, I'll hunt it down for you.
Yeah, it's before the It's Perfect Sense. That's what it's called. Perfect Sense. From 2011. Eva Green's in it.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's about an epidemic that begins to rob people of their sensory perceptions.
Okay, I'll look it up for because I'm working on a book version first. So
yeah, I mean, and it's for you, Victor. It's interesting because, like I told you, the story about my roommate that had CP, and one of the things that struck me is that you get misjudged because people don't understand that your mental faculties are like everybody else's, that you're trapped. And people don't get that. And I didn't understand that until Brian, I would go places with him. And what was funny about Brian was he had a hilarious sense of humor. And so we got along really well. And I would tell him dirty jokes and stuff. And people would get mad and they'd be like, you can't tell him those jokes. And I'm like, why the fuck can't I tell him those jokes? And people would think that because of the way he was, that he somehow, I don't know, was he too fragile for me to tell dirty jokes? I mean, they didn't understand his mind was. I met him in the computer center writing code, and it was that they didn't get that. So that would be an interesting way, for people to sort of have more insight into what you go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Part of the reason is because people aren't exposed to people with disabilities, so they don't know how to act.
Right. And they're fearful of it too. It was funny because Brian was hilarious. And he would say things that were wildly inappropriate but funny as hell. And it was funny, like people thought that he doesn't have the right to say something that wildly inappropriate. I'm like, yeah, he does. He can say whatever he wants.
That's awesome.
I mean, just like you wrote this book and how much, I mean, there's so much emotion in this, and like that what you wrote about your mom. I mean, that was and kudos to your mom, by the way. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah, she's awesome. Maybe one day I can bring her on the member call. That's okay.
Yeah, bring her on. She cute? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
You might think so.
Yeah, all right.
If she gets a lot of guys hitting on her, so.
Yeah. I shouldn't be one of them, especially live on the internet. It's not a good look.
You would probably think she's cute.
Yeah, I'm sure I would.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already a fan of hers, so, give her my best.
I will. Thank you, sir. keep up the good work, and thank you for everything.
Well, thanks for writing your book, and keep going. I mean, I love your idea. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, both you guys.
Bye, Victor.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Great to see you once again. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too.
Yeah, and buy Victor's book, Rolling Through Life. I think there's only 3 copies left at Amazon. It's worth getting.
Indeed. Let's go ahead and jump in with our man in Down Under, Kelvin Wellborn.
You fucking Australians, man. All these things that you're putting out, they're so expensive. God, the shipping.
Welcome, Kelvin.
Good morning to you all. How are you, Roberto and the Bobster?
Dude, you got to tell these people to stop. Umbrella and
the machine is rolling along.
Yeah, I mean it's too much, man. I need to like, you know, make more money or something.
You I know the feeling. Yes, I've got lots of things to get myself, and it's just it's becoming crazy. It's too crazy. But I wanted to ask you, you defended blacksmiths, didn't you, recently, a few months ago, or a couple of months ago?
Blacksmiths, you mean the profession?
Yes.
Of course. We need our blacksmiths.
I applaud you because I am the descendant of a long line of blacksmiths.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm not one myself, but I go back to the 1840s.
Wow.
My family. So,
well, I mean, that was a valuable skill.
You
can't. Oh, look at that.
Cousin made this. He's still
look. I'll tell you something. With AI going where it's going, with the quantum computing and what's happening, we're going to need blacksmiths because everyone else is going to be out of a job. Everything's going to be 3D printed.
You're not wrong.
Blacksmithing, it's going to come back. All of the ancient tasks are going to. I'm now. I need a drink.
I'll just have Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Well, it's 12 o'clock somewhere.
That's right.
But yeah, no, it's yeah. Wow. Blacksmithing is great. I mean, same with like being a cobbler.
That's right.
Maybe I'll become a luthier. Is it luthier? I want to learn how to make a guitar.
Maybe handcrafted, but they might be able to make 3D. But I mean, I talked to my cousin a while ago now, and he said there's no way. He's not a blacksmith full time. He's a metal worker at a school, at a high school. But
right.
He does do blacksmith. He teaches that, like it's an after school program. But my uncle, his father was probably the last professional village blacksmith in Australia, perhaps. He claimed that, but I don't know.
Right.
But he told me that there's no way he could make horseshoes because it's just not cost effective. The amount that so that's why he goes into that sort of handicraft and making specific tools and things like that. But yes. Anyway, in tribute to the great man, I watched.
How great is that movie?
I have to say, I haven't seen it. This was my previous DVD. I hadn't seen it for probably 20 years. And I had forgotten how much of a slow burn it is.
Oh, yeah.
I think I have to watch it again because I just know that it's just going to draw some.
Well, it doesn't, it's also, we're so used to things moving so fast now.
That's what I was sort of struggling a little bit with, because I was thinking, shouldn't this be going a bit fast?
Yeah, well, but by the end, I mean, it's got such a great ending, and that piece of music, the theme, the score, they were playing it on NPR, and I just turned on. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I heard the music. I'm like, oh, they're talking about Gene Hackman, because it's a conversation. But it's a great double feature with that is if you go watch Tony Scott's Enemy of the State right afterwards, because he's basically playing the same character.
I had this idea. I kept thinking, what was the other movie that he was playing the same sort of character?
I mean, they don't really say it's Harry Call, but it is. And
Yes,
so,
I knew.
so if you go from the conversation and then you go to Enemy of the State, because I love Enemy of the State.
I haven't seen that for a long time. I have to buy it again myself.
I need to. It's funny. I haven't watched it in a long time. I don't know. It might be outdated with all the technology, but still, I love it.
Well, I mean, that was one of the things I was thinking about when I was looking at the conversation and the amount of audio work you've been doing lately.
Oh,
could you imagine doing the same, like with all those tapes, and then having to mix?
Dude, no. That's why when I was, I can't even. I could never do it. I mean, I could never do it. It's the audio. You know, it's funny. We got the first, somebody reviewed True Noir on the IMDb, because it has an IMDb page.
Oh, okay, yep.
And they said they thought the sound was really great and the acting is really great. And they're like, but why did they make an audio drama? You know, during the pandemic, I understand, but why make an audio drama? And the guy goes, why not turn it into an animated show or do a live action series? And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll take that under advisement. I mean, it would have cost to do a 5-hour animated show would have cost millions and millions and millions of dollars, and to do a live action series, like a 10 episode live action series, would have cost
100 million at least.
Yeah, 150 to 100 million dollars. I'm like, but I'll get right on that. Don't think I haven't thought about it, you know. And it's a period piece too, so. Period cars, period city, period Miami. I mean, it's, yeah.
I did go and see one movie this year so far, Hard Eyes. Which
how was that?
I quite liked it, actually. It was a good comedy, horror comedy.
Yeah, people liked it. People liked it.
I thought the premise was pretty good, and you know, and the actors did well together. I mean, I just love the fact that they weren't supposed to be a couple, and
right.
Suddenly, you know, the killers go, "Oh, kill her."
Did you just spill something?
Yeah.
Is that why it's called Heart Eyes? Plural?
Yes.
Oh man! See, you fucked it up for everybody.
I know, but yeah, it's so funny because you know the killer is got his ideas of what they want to do, and yet suddenly two people are thrust together for a moment, and it looks like they're a couple, and they go, "That's my next target." I just thought that was just so hilarious.
Yeah, that's what is somebody saying that? Oh, that's Krizik. And the mayor taketh the fuck away. Do that. I mean, but
anyway. Thanks once again, Rob, for all your work. I've got to catch up with more True Noir. I've been busy, and so I've only listened to the first 3. So
we're up to. It's funny. I got Christine called me. Christine Sheeks, my supervising producer, and she said that episode 7 was her favorite, the last one we released, because it's got so many actors in it. You know, you got all of her cast, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's very interesting because each episode's kind of different. Like almost like episode 7 starts out with a courtroom drama, and then it has all this other stuff. So, and then episode 8 will drop next week, and then 9 and 10 are almost done.
Righto. Well, thanks, Rob, for that, and I will see you again in the not too distant future.
Yes.
One last quick thing. Picnic at the Hanging Rock had its 50th anniversary on St. Valentine's Day.
Did you go see it in the theater?
No, I watched it at home. Lovely Second Sight.
Yeah, that Second Sight disc. Did you see that Second Sight? They just put up House of the Devil for pre-order, and I'm like, I already have the umbrella.
Right. Anyway, so yeah.
All right,
great to see you, Kelvin. Take care.
Thanks, Roberto.
Bye. All right, so moving right along here. Who we got next? We have Alan. Welcome. Been a while. Good to hear from you, Alan. Welcome.
Hey everyone.
Alan, what's up, dude?
Shalom.
So,
yes, it's been a while. I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to log in, but I want to talk about like your favorite subject, Rob.
Israel.
In a way, I want to talk about Captain America. Like
yeah, please.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about it. I was very, very, very skeptic, and I was really afraid. But then my friend called me a couple days before the premiere, and he told me that he got tickets for the premiere. So I went ahead early, very early. It was Wednesday morning. I think it was like the 10 a.m. Screening, and we were shaking. There were like a bunch of local V-grade celebrities and stuff like that, but and they were like handing out Marvel trading cards. Let me see, I can show you.
Well, that's cool.
I got them here, right here, which are pretty cool. I can disable the background.
Yeah, you wanna disable the blur.
I'll go ahead. One sec. There we go. There we go. So
those are cool.
They're pretty cool. My favorite is this one. It's the James Jameson. And it's shiny and stuff.
Yeah, Dieter would like it shiny.
Yes.
Spider-Man Noir. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, is Electro female now? I just can't keep up.
Are those part of a game? They look kind of like they would be game cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's like a trading card game or something.
Yep.
Which are cool. Like I
Marvel the Gathering.
I wouldn't know about it, but they handed them at the premiere, so I took some. And we went in. I tried to avoid spoilers and stuff before I went. And it was fine. It was
fine. That's right.
It was not the train wreck that I was expecting.
No, I enjoyed watching it.
And obviously, me being Israeli, I was very, very skeptical, and was very, very afraid that stuff would go wrong with Sabra, which isn't Sabra anymore, which is just Ruth Batzaraf.
Yeah, they never mentioned that she's Israeli ever, not once.
No, they did. They did say she was born in Israel, something like that.
Oh well.
I think Falcon says it. It sounds like ADR. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think they suspected things might go sideways, so they added that line. I think. I'm not sure though. But it was just fine. I was I was very cautious. I went in skeptical, and it was not great. Obviously, it wasn't Winter Soldier. It wasn't Civil War. It's easily the worst Captain America film in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it was not a train wreck like the Marvels or stuff like that.
No, I think my real problem with ultimately with the movie was it wasn't about Captain America. It was more about the president and about the leader, and it was more of a sequel to the Hulk movie. Where I wish that you had three really great characters. You have Isaiah Bradley. I mean, how have they had Isaiah Bradley and not shown at least a flashback sequence when he was in his super soldier outfit? You had Falcon, you had Isaiah Bradley, and you had Captain America. You have these three generations of two black men and a Latino guy. You could have done a really cool story with just the three of them uncovering a plot or something and focused on them and made them the central characters, and that it was Captain America that led the way. Or I just thought that they should have refocused it more to make it Captain America centric.
Yeah, I would totally make it Captain America film because it's called Captain America. But with that all out of the way, I'm just glad we're over it with this. And I wouldn't expect a sequel. I wouldn't want a sequel. I mean, there's obviously has to be a next Captain America film, but I wouldn't want a sequel, or I wouldn't want anything with this cast of characters, maybe as supporting characters in other films.
Right. Well, it's made $300 million so far worldwide, which isn't great, but it's not a disaster unless they really reshot it 3 times. And
I mean, it sounds like it's fine. Just like I said.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure is a compliment for a film. Maybe these days it is, but like
to me, it seemed like a mid-level James Bond movie.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
did. My friends went and saw it like later, and they had like a more bitter experience, like a less I would say a less good experience. And I might be a little bit biased because like the premiere experience was very fun. Admittedly,
Yeah,
like, I
totally.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So like this might I don't know like sweeten the whole experience for me. It's probably not as good as I remember, but then again, I'm not planning to watch it again to find out.
Well, I mean, I thought Anthony Mackie was great as Sam Wilson. I think
the entire cast was great.
Yeah, the commanding the screen, and I enjoyed watching it. You know, I did, and I just thought it just could have been more. I mean, the thing is, we're expecting Marvel. That was the 35th Marvel movie, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
35 Marvel. There's only 25 official James Bond movies, and they started in 1962. There's 35 Marvel movies that started in 2008. So
but the last 12 Marvel movies like don't really count.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's really, if you look at how much time and effort that's been put into those movies and how inconsequential they all really are.
They all feel like it. Like in hindsight, like the first 24 were like the goal.
Yeah, they were great, and that's why I said I went back and watched that trailer for Infinity War. You know, just to, and I was getting all like, I'm like, I was, and I'm like, oh my God. In the beginning, you know, it was a dream, and then you have each character continuing that sentence, and then
hopefully the Russo brothers come back and like fix everything.
And then Thanos is like, run from it. And I'm just like, shit, man, I gotta go watch Infinity War because I can't get enough of that. I watch Infinity War.
I watched them so many times, and they always work. Like both Endgame and Infinity War.
They all work. I can't stop. Even the opening when they're in the Asgardian ship, you know, and they're walking across all the dead those movies are the best. I mean, those all, and even Age of Ultron, which I've always maintained. I've always been an Age of Ultron defender. I'm like, how do you not love Age of Ultron? I mean, I love it. You've got the scene with the hammer, people trying to pick it up. You've got James Spader, who can do no wrong in my world, playing the voice of Ultron. I mean, I don't get it. It's just, but yeah, I don't understand what Marvel. It's too bad, but it's good to see you. I hope everything.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to. That's all I wanted to talk about. So,
but that's cool.
Have a great rest of your day.
And look, I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts. I think it's every time I see more of it, I'm like, oh, this looks good to me. I'm in.
It seems fine.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's all fine. This is
we're fine here. Everything's fine. We're fine here. How are you?
This is Marvel face fine. Great to see you all on. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
It's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Marvel movies. Fine. Look, Marvel movies should not be fine. They should not be fine. They should be better than fine.
They should be fine wine. We got Darth Plato joining us here. Welcome, Darth Plato.
What's up, dude? You must be having fun these days. Your historical background every single day. You're like, uh-oh.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're coming clear.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Darth? Are you unable to hear us?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the camera to work. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you look good.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing, I'm fine.
I tell you what, I have to say it. Because I rest in peace, Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
Because look, I saw Superman in the theater in 1978.
Yep.
And that's one of my earliest movie experiences. It's very iconic to me. Yeah, so look at what happened to Christopher Reeve. Now, what happened to Christopher Reeve is very sad. And what he yet I heard. Now we have Gene Hackman. I can see it on the news right now. This thing that he's been dead since
February 17th.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, that he died. I mean, it seems very strange, whatever happened. I mean, I don't know what's up.
So he's one of the most iconic actors for me because he just one of my earliest movies experience. Along with that, Harrison Ford would be in that category as well. Most of the cast of Star Wars would be in that category, in there. Well, like Mark Hamill. Yeah, people don't like Mark Hamill because he goes off the wall about the would be Mark Hamill. He can say anything he wants for that.
Yeah, I've never understood. Like, we have a really weird this idea. Like, I don't care what side of the political aisle people are on, because you should be able to be. You should have the political beliefs that you have, but I don't think that ever takes away from my enjoyment of an actor playing. Like, I'm a huge James Woods fan. And people are like, "You like James Woods?" And I'm like, "Why wouldn't I like James Woods?" You know, Oppenheimer wouldn't exist without James Woods, and I've always liked his performances all the way back into the 70s. And then people get pissed at me, like, "Yeah, he's in right wing, whatever." I'm like, look,
it's just when I hear people say stuff like that, I say, "I'm sorry, I don't speak peer pressure."
Yeah, it's like, I don't care. Look, everybody has different sides of a political aisle. I mean, I'm more interested in understanding why somebody believes what they believe. I don't want to pillory somebody because of their political beliefs. I mean, I want to know why why do you believe what you believe? Tell me what you. That's the only thing. When people can't tell me why they believe what they believe, then I get mad.
I don't know.
So
I don't know nothing about nothing.
Come on, man. You're our historian. We're living through historic periods of time.
I just want to point out, you talked about this in the last stream. You talked about a little bit this stream, that the concept of a worldview, Belton Sharon.
Right.
Now, this is a philosophic concept that goes back a couple centuries. So it's not something that's specific to fiction or literature.
No.
It can be applied to anything.
Yes, I mean, but I think that in the case of storytelling, the worldview, the idea of creating the milieu, the universe first, and that's different from putting your universe before your characters. But if you're going to tell a fictional story, and in the framework of whatever the world is, you have to understand what world you're telling the story within, so you can make characters that fit within that.
Sure, but I just want to point out, just to be clear here, that worldview is not with world building. They're completely different things.
Well, I think, but in terms of this is specifically thinking about it in terms of this Japanese concept, in that, yes, it's not just world building; it's an entire approach to what is, not just the details, but it's the morality, the ethics, it's all of those things that come into play. And then as this Japanese concept that 1001 Johnny brought up, is that you can, once you have your worldview, you can tell whatever story you want in it. You can have a comedy story, you can have a murder mystery, but all of those different stories have to be then defined by the worldview that you've chosen to create, to set those stories within.
And let me keep it focused on the Belton Shaman part. A worldview, to define it in simplest terms, is the sub. What? How do I phrase it? It is the sum total of answers that you give to the most fundamental questions.
Yep.
And by
I like that. That's a good definition.
Yeah. And by fundamental questions, I mean, what does it mean to be human? What is justice? What is truth? I'm talking about the philosophic concept. What is God?
Well, I mean, but that's. I think
what is reality.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. But in terms of a storytelling in a fictional world you've built, all of that is true. But then you also have to have a magic system within that world.
Yeah, but that's world building.
But I would say, but in terms of the way the Japanese, I mean, specifically 1001 Johnny was talking about how the Japanese apply the idea of worldview to storytelling, and like when you're
only apply to the author. That wouldn't apply to the individual characters because they'd all be different people.
Right, but the thing is, it does. So that was the whole point, is that once you have your worldview set, and what you're talking about is like an individual worldview of a person or what you think.
Yes, but that's exactly what the concept is and where it comes from. You can't apply a specific to a general. You can't do that.
Well, no, but the thing is, there's I think it's called Sekikon. It's a Japanese concept that, and it essentially translates to the world, the word worldview. But this was specifically in terms of storytelling.
Well, I can't speak to the Japanese aspect of
But
it.
that's what this was all about. When we were talking about worldview, it was because he brought up this thing where I'd never seen this before. I mean, I know what a worldview is in terms of what it comes to an individual.
In that case, it shouldn't be called worldview because you're confusing it with the content concept.
Well, but that's the thing, is this was only in terms, it's an actual storytelling concept that has a specific word. And so the thing is, and what you're talking about, morality, ethics, all that, it is world building. But the thing is, once you have this, then you can tell any kind of a story you want. You can have characters, and you can make whatever you want to tell, a romance, you want to tell a swashbuckling adventure story within this system. You can, but you have to know that every person has to act a certain way, and they're confined, they're constrained by the world that you build, and that is immutable. And the characters can be whoever you want them to be, but they have to, and it really is basically creating a reality.
Sure, I'm not fighting with you about this. I'm just trying to explain the difference between when we in the Western world talk about Belch and Shaoon, and how you were talking about it with story building are a completely different thing. And it's confusing because you're using the same word to just
right.
talk about
But
both.
it was just interesting. It wasn't necessarily, it went beyond world building, because you're talking about morality and ethics. That's part of it too. That would be part of the world. It's not just, and what I'm saying, the magic systems that you create are all part of it. So is the morality, so are the ethics, the legal system, all of that was part of it. It's real. I hadn't encountered it before. It was something new to me. So and I've kind of been obsessed with it lately.
Well, okay, I apply that to my world building when I'm doing my story, but I don't know anything about the Japanese concept.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting idea. But it's Sekikon. That's Sekikon. That's what it's called. That's right. Sekikon. Yeah.
Sekikon,
So,
everybody Sekikon. Everybody, that's all I want to
do. Well, I think I'm thinking about it. Roberto's going to kick me out because Roberto's being Roberto. So
sorry, I'm sorry. We are at time, and
but we got the Cookie Monster next. We got Ish.
Well, let me go.
The man who makes the crack cocaine of sugar cookies.
Good to see you, Darth. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead before we jump into our Cookie Monster. Let's go ahead.
By the way, there is Ish. There is magic. The cookies are not. Drugs are the wrong analogy. There's a magical joy in his cookies, and if you set them down anywhere, they just disappear. Poof. They literally disappear. If you're not watching his cookies closely, they just vanish.
They just go.
Vanish. Especially in a house with three. I have a house with 3 girls. And nothing disappears faster than sweets of any kind.
We are at our time to close the stream on YouTube, but I wanted to go over a few super chats that we received.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Right before we do that, Light Trail Pictures became a YouTube member, so welcome to Light Trail Pictures. Thank you for joining us. Then we have from a performing artist, we have $5. Seeing that my Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman, died this week, what do you think about Heist 2001? I love that last scene so much. Quintessential Hackman.
I have not. I own Heist.
That's the David Mamet. Is that David Mamet?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I like it. I think I prefer Thief. It's a similar film, has a similar vibe to me as Thief, the James Caan.
You mean the Michael Mann movie?
The Michael Mann movie,
which came out in 4K. One of my favorite movies of all time came out in 4K from Criterion this week. Has one of the most banger synth scores of all time by Tangerine.
It's a similar film to Heist, but I think I prefer it. So, but
you know what's a good Runaway Jury?
Runaway Jury.
Hackman's in that, and also, you know what? It's funny. I've been getting all of these like Siskel and Ebert reviews pop up.
Yeah.
Of Hackman movies, just because the way my analytics work.
Sure.
And you know what movie I love Tom Cruise. I'll freely admit it. I love The Firm.
Hackman was also in The Firm, right?
Hackman is great in The Firm. He's great in The Firm.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Gene Hackman, the one thing that I wish he would have played that he never played, Al Pacino played him, Robert De Niro played him. I would love to have seen Gene Hackman play Satan.
Oh, sure.
The devil.
He would have been a great Satan.
I think he would have brought a great like street level.
Almost like a mischievous.
It would have been, yes, because he's got that glimmer in his eye.
Yeah,
I mean, he played the monk in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankenstein. But I mean, I loved it. Look, he had a great life. It's his demise is very strange. Whatever happened there, it's very it's not great.
Yeah.
But the firm is a really good. It's got a great score. It's really great. It's Tobin Bell, Jigsaw's in it. It's got a great cast. I love that movie.
Yeah, and Runaway Jury was another based on the same author, and it's basing on the author from The Firm, but it's the same author.
Is Runaway Jury John Grisham?
Is it? I for some reason that's what's coming to mind, but maybe it's not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, but there's a lot of those legal thrillers.
Grisham books,
yeah, the Grisham books. But I don't know if I want to say that Runaway Jury is an original script, but it's got Dustin Hoffman's in it, Hackman's in it, Rachel Weisz is in it.
Okay.
I'm
thinking. Yeah, I'm probably just.
Oh, it is the legal thriller, The Runaway Jury. Okay.
It is based on a Grisham.
It is.
Well, there you go. So he is in 2 Grisham films. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. But Heist is a good movie. It's the thing with Mamet movies too. It's got that Mamet speak. Like people in David Mamet movies only speak the way they do in David Mamet movies, right?
I know.
It's like that. So you kind of have to buy into that. If you watch like House of Cards or any of those other ones, you just have to go all in on this almost hyper realistic way of speaking. So
yeah, totally.
So you have to buy into it. And
and it's funny because I have not seen and I need to see it.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I own it.
You should check it out. It's very much along the lines of a film like.
And what a cast! Patti LuPone, Ricky Jay, Sam Rockwell, Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, it's a great cast. All right. Well, thanks to a performing artist for that super chat. Then we got 2 more. We have Apocalypse Cow saying Stone Cold was a banger. Can you recommend more lesser known bangers? Road trip horror, small town crime, or something shocking and obscure?
First of all, it's funny. I always try and tell people, I've been saying it a lot lately, watching movies at scale. Like, because everyone thinks that, this movie's going to be life-changing. It was like the guy who wrote, I addressed it on my last stream when someone said, well, how can you say movies aren't that good, but you still love them? Well, Stone Cold, which was directed by the stuntman Craig Baxley turned director, stars Brian Bosworth, who was a big football star in college, came to the Seattle Seahawks, his NFL career flamed out, and he went and tried to be an actor. He's not a great actor.
No, not at all.
Not at all. He's got a great look, though, and he's got a ridiculous mullet.
He looks like an action figure. He looks like an 80s action figure.
Yeah, like from the WWF or something. I remember thinking that he took 8 showers a day, and I mean he did in real life. Like he said, he took 8 showers a day or whatever. So the fact that somebody made a movie with Brian Bosworth as a star is patently just a ridiculous idea, the stupidest thing ever. That said, that movie's fucking great.
Mhm.
I mean, when you're watching it, it's like it's not great like The Godfather.
Of course.
It's not great like, and I would say like the greatness of what I'm talking about is like Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Exactly.
Schwarzenegger in Commando.
It
It's
lives in that same space as
yeah,
Commando.
it's not top tier. It's not Conan the Barbarian.
Mhm.
It's not the Terminator. It's not True Lies.
Yeah.
But Commando, when he's throwing table saw blades at people and killing Vernon Wells and all that, it's awesome.
Right.
So Commando, if you can understand where, like you said, where that lives, Stone Cold, and Stone Cold doesn't even have Schwarzenegger. It's got Brian Bosworth. But what it does have is Lance Henriksen.
Yes.
And Lance Henriksen delivering one of the great villain turns of all time.
Mhm.
And then not only that, it has Craig Baxley. It has incredible stunts. I don't remember what state it's in, but they use like their state capital to stand in for the capital. You've got this incredible biker gang. It's the movie kicks ass, but it kicks ass like you're going to the movies on a Sunday afternoon with your buddies and you're going to sneak a bunch of beer into the theater and you're going to watch a movie and it fucking delivers.
Mhm.
And I would say that the king of that level of direction is like James Glickenhaus, who directed like The Exterminator and The Soldier.
Yes. Yeah.
And and people, we don't have, or I would say Invasion USA,
Mhm.
and the lower tier versions of those movies are like Sam Furstenberg's ninja movies, like American Ninja with Steve James and Michael Dudikoff, and these are movies that deliver the goods,
Mhm.
are fun to watch, but we don't even get them anymore.
No.
Now everything is way too elevated. No one would let you go and make a cheesy. I mean, I know that if RNZ is or RT is, he'd make a Chuck Norris joke, but
Right.
yes, Stone Cold. Anyway, and now Ish is like, I know. I'm sorry, we're
but anyway.
But yeah, so the question is, what are more movies like that?
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold. Well, I would say that we're going to go a little backwards, but talk about James Glickenhaus. If you haven't seen Robert McGinty in the first The Exterminator, if you haven't seen The Exterminator, or Craig Baxley made a movie before Stone Cold. I think it was before Stone Cold, called I Come in Peace with Dolph Lundgren. Check that out.
Yep.
Yeah, check that out. And then of course the American Ninja movies, which get a little silly, but I have often say that there's nothing that can't be made better without the proper application of ninjas. Those movies. But yes, something along those lines. By the way, if you want to go back into like 70s, there's actually a great Australian gang movie called Stone, not called Stone Cold, just Stone.
Mhm.
And there's so many. I would being put on the spot, but yeah, we got somebody Krizik is talking about Boss Level and Nobody and Nobody Too. Those are good, but those are too elevated.
Those are newer too.
Those are new, and those are really good. Like Boss Level was made. By the way, the director of Boss Level, why am I drawing a blank on his name now? He made a really great Quentin Tarantino. He made a movie. His first feature was called Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane. That's a good one. Robert Rodriguez is El Mariachi. And Desperado.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of Once Upon a Time in Mexico, even though I bought the Mexico box set. But El Mariachi was one of those apocalypse. Or my beloved, if you have not seen The Raid, or as I like to call it, The Rad, and The Rad 2, even radder. Have you guys seen the new? Did anybody see the trailer for Havoc?
For the new movie he's directing, it looks
awesome. My God.
Yeah.
I watched that trailer and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was the shit. I mean, that trailer is dope. I can't wait to see Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. That does look great.
That is what I want to see. But yeah, Havoc looks great. But if you haven't seen The Rad or The Rad 2,
no.
Gareth Evans, man. Ooh.
Well, hopefully that gives you something to consider there, Apocalypse Cow.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, once again, a performing artist saying R&B, I think one of the best scenes in Infinity War saga was in Age of Ultron when Vision had his last conversation with the last Ultron robot.
100%. And Vision gives the line, well, I was born yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I get so good. It was so good.
And to me, for it being one of the weakest of the Avenger movies, that line does a lot to kind of redeem that film for me.
And I would say this though. When was the last time you watched Age of Ultron?
It's been a while. It's been
It has a lot more meaning when you watch it now. And by the way, Terry Metalis, they're in London.
They're working
on the Vision series.
Vision, yeah.
I am really, really, really excited. I think what Terry's going to do with the Vision series is going to be great. And by the way, I really do know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing about it. And by the way, he would never tell me. He's smart not to.
Yeah. Well, with that, we are going to say goodbye to our friends on YouTube, but we will continue the chat here on Zoom. Sorry, Ish, we keep you waiting. Maybe I think in the time that Ish has been waiting, he's pulled out 2 more batches of cookies. So hopefully, we'll...
And by the way, Alon says that the Vision series sounds better than Fine. I think it's going to be better than Fine.
Better than Fine, yes. Vision Quest, I believe it's the working title at least. So anyway, Rob, any announcements before we close things off?
Other than True Noir episode 8 should be out next week, and then 9 and 10 will come out hopefully subsequent to that because they should be done. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. And then after that, I will start working on the perks, the physical media perks for everybody. Right. So we can get that. And I don't know. People have said that the last 2 that they hadn't got notices about the coming out on the feed, episode 6 and 7, which is weird. But there's going to be hopefully a pretty exciting announcement to make about True Noir in 3 weeks. So yeah.
All right. We'll be keeping our ears peeled for that. To all of our friends on YouTube, remember, if you become a member, you can become a part of these chats in the future. So hopefully we will see you then. And until next time, have a great weekend and have a great next week.
Have a better day.
Have a better day. I forget. Have a better day. All right. Goodbye, everybody.